Welcome, Norse fans, to Norsin Around, part of the Grueling Truth Radio Network. With me today is Alex Gray. Alex is wearing his dancing shoes. Alex, tell us why we're wearing dancing shoes.
Well, I am proud to say, as an NKU student, that the Northern Kentucky Norse are 2017 Horizon League Tournament champions, defeating number 10 seed Milwaukee 59-53 after Joe in Detroit, which means Northern Kentucky has clinched an automatic NCAA Tournament bid for their first year of eligibility. They are going to the big dance.
Wow, that is huge. I mean, the first year of eligibility, because most people are like, oh, well, they've been Division I for 4 years now. What about those years? Did they count? Well, no, not really. They were on probation. And unfortunately, when you're on probation, you're not eligible for postseason play. So, of course, the first year of eligibility, this is huge. So, you mentioned they had beaten the number 10 seed, which I was going to say, I know it's our show and it's about NKU and those kind of important things, but that just has to be given credit where credit is due. The University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, I mean, being able to make it from a 10 seed all the way to the championship game, I know it isn't going to get them anywhere, but we at least should stop and applaud and give them credit where credit's due. Same with Youngstown State. Weren't they one of the lower seeds as well?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly didn't look like lower seeds. You know, it's called Motor City Madness. It was surely Motor City. The first, second, and third seeds were both out, and things just got crazy after that. And, you know, Youngstown, Milwaukee, they got hot at a good time. Just Northern Kentucky was hot too. So I had Northern Kentucky winning this tournament, and I'm just happy for those guys. If the players that are listening at all, you guys deserve this. Y'all did a great job. And go get them in the tournament, man. One game at a time. Let's win them all.
Exactly. So you mentioned you had Northern predicted to win. Clearly, though, you didn't have Northern beating the teams that they beat to win, though, right?
Yeah, I thought we'd be like Valpo or someone like that. And we got Milwaukee at 10 seed, you know. If Milwaukee would have won, they would have become the first ever team with 20 losses to play in the NCAA tournament.
Wow. So that would have been quite historical as well. So, like I said, you got to give them a lot of respect and give them a lot of credit. Same with the previous game, the Youngstown State. Tell us about that game. How'd that score pan out? Who were the stars? Who were the highlights? You know, of course, Drew McDonald. I mean, obviously that game had a big game, but tell us a little bit more details about that.
Yeah, Drew McDonald was surely amazing, and everyone else was really just great throughout the tournament. The Norse did win 84-74. This was the Horizon League semifinal, and Norse did really well, of course. Drew McDonald had 12 points in his first 8 minutes, posted 17 points and 4 rebounds in the first half alone, and he had 26 total points. 4 of his 10 field goals were three-pointers, which is just wow. Levon Holland registered 20 points, 12 in the second half. He had 3 assists and 3 steals. Mason Faulkner was the third and final Norse in double figures with 10 points to go along with 3 assists. And Dantes Walton put together a complete game with 8 rebounds, 8.6 rebounds and 2 assists. Knocked out a big three-pointer that helped seal the deal for NKU because Youngstown came fighting back late in the game, but they were and Northern was able to close it out and, you know, take home a win. And what's incredible, you know, a lot of these guys, they're going to be back next year too, except for Cole Murray and a couple others. So, in my opinion, this team's only going to get better. And the way they're playing, it's incredible. Imagine, and I'm getting off topic here, imagine the fact that all 3 major basketball universities in the tri-state area, Cincinnati, Xavier, and Northern, getting into the tournament. Now, I think Xavier was last 4 in right now, according to ESPN.
Yeah, currently they were last 4 in, yes.
Huh. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, that is, yeah, I was going to say that's the crazy part is, you know, at the beginning of the season, if you would have asked their expectations for Xavier, now obviously it was a lot of injuries that factored in there, but yeah, they were predicted to be an Elite 8, maybe a Final Four team, And so we are definitely not going to do anything stupid like gloat, because, of course, Northern has definitely achieved and maybe even overachieved a little bit. But like you were saying, having the tri-state teams do well is always a good thing. UC, of course, is also doing quite well. So let's see. So like you said, the previous game they beat Youngstown State. And then tonight, of course, University of Wisconsin. Who did they beat in the first round?
They beat Wright State, funny enough, in the first round. That was an 82-77 victory over our fellow Dayton rival. The freshman, Carson Williams, had 17 points, including 15 in the second half, so he really went off. He had 6 of 7 from the floor, 50.9% shooting from the floor, including 66.7% in the second half. He led 4 players in double figures and also registered 5 rebounds. Levon Hall II had 16 points. He was an assist shy of a double-double. He posted just 2 turnovers of his career high, tying 9 assists, and also came away with a block and steal. Mason Faulkner had 10 points on 3 for 4 shooting from the floor. Jordan Garnett had 10 points as well, 9 of which came in the second half. McDonald and Walton led the NKU Norse with 6 apiece, 6 rebounds.
Nice. Okay, so it sounds like the tournament, huge success. I mean, just you couldn't ask for more from these guys. So, of course, now everybody's excited about Selection Sunday and seeing where they're going to go.
Yeah, I definitely excited to see where they're going to go and who they'll play.
I was going to say, I know this is going to sound like an odd thing, but and we're proud they're already in the tournament. But you know what? I don't want it to be that easy. I don't want them to be in the tournament. I want them to be in the playing game. I want them.
You know what? I want us to become.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I would. You know what? I would call off classes and go up there just to be there. And honestly, you know what? If NKU ends up somehow being a 16, I want them to be the first 16 seed to win a game, to beat the 1 seed. I think NKU, the way they played and the way they've been playing, they could beat anybody. They can really, you never know. I mean, I remember Florida Gulf Coast 4 years ago. They got all the way to the Elite Eight. I didn't know anything about Florida Gulf Coast until that happened. That was the same year, Louisville won the national championship. Wichita State going to the Final Four that same year. I think the next year, the year after, Dayton got to Elite Eight. You just never know. I think NKU could certainly fit in that category, and how incredible it would be. And I certainly think NKU could go far.
I love your optimism. The Florida Gulf Coast thing, bringing it back to that, of course, that was the conference Northern first started in Division I, the Atlantic Sun. And the nice thing about Florida Gulf Coast, I believe that year they had several they had several transfers that was a big part of why their success. And they did have a lot of athleticism. And I agree with you that that would be huge if we can, the first time a team beats a 1 seed. Wow. However, with the 1 seeds they got this year, just like every year, they're quite tough. I mean, I've heard Kansas's name batted around, North Carolina. Actually, I know it's going to sound odd. Who I want, the perennial underdog, Gonzaga. So far, they're undefeated on the season. Good chance they're going to be number 1 overall seed. Actually, if anybody, would be shocked or surprised, that would be the team I think that we could shock or surprise.
Definitely. Gonzaga's always been a good program, but I just think they don't have as tough of a schedule as, you look at Villanova, they got the Big East. You look at, North Carolina and Louisville, they got the ACC. You look at Gonzaga's conference, and it's just not as tough to me. And there's just I always look at it and go, no one's going to beat Gonzaga in that conference.
Yeah, there's them. I forget the other team because they do have one other team that's in the top 20. But like you said, that's because neither of those two teams outside of each other really have tough competition. I want to say it's St. John.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. That's I believe it is. Which I believe they have Chris Mullen is their coach, which is nice. But yeah, Northern's team, obviously we're excited. We're happy with how things are going. However, I do like to pop balloons, and I don't want to pop this one too soon. But there is talk that there were 12 happy players or 11 happy players out there tonight, and one disgruntled person. But we're not going to go into it too much because hopefully I'm wrong. But something about 3 promises, because I like to sound a little cryptic. There were 3 promises given to him, and apparently he hasn't received any of his 3 promises, which is crazy because clearly you would think success would dwindle any complaints he could possibly have. But going to put a pin in that one and come back to that at a later date. So, yeah, we don't. This is normally where I would ask you who they're going to play next. Clearly we don't know who they're going to play next until Selection Sunday. So,
I hope either they end up in Dayton or there's also a regional in Indianapolis. I only say that because those are the 2 closest regionals.
Exactly. Actually, yeah, you're right. That would be a good thing. But that's the that is the first round. It's the play-in and then the first. And actually, I have talked to the representatives from Indianapolis. So if we do get into that regional, getting credentials, going up there is going to be awesome. Because we got behind, didn't have enough, or hadn't been around long enough to get the credentials outright, just in case if, no matter who went up there. But if I was told if basically UC, Xavier, or NKU are up in that regional, we should be getting into that one. And I haven't heard back from Dayton either way on the plan, but same thing, if, one of our teams are in there, is a good shot. And then I'm in talks with Lexington to go down to there for the women's tournament. So working on some of those things. But, yeah, the men's team, it's just been a remarkable coaching job. You can't really say anything else or ask for much else. So that's the reason why we're going to jump to the other sports, just to touch base with them real quick, so that way, they don't feel left out.
Of course.
Tell us about how the men's baseball team is doing.
Alrighty. And also, the women's basketball team did lose in the first round to UIC at Motor City Madness. Great job to the women's basketball team, and I definitely think they'll have a great season next season. Shake it off and move on forward. Anyway, with the baseball team, they played Georgia State on the road, and unfortunately, 3 straight losses. They lost 10-6, 12-4, and 8-7 in those games. Those took place March 3rd through the 5th. And upcoming this weekend, they got at Radford. Those are 4 games, actually, in 3 days, so they'll have a doubleheader. And then we're inching close to March 17th, which will be our first home game.
Nice. So, yeah, we're definitely looking forward to that, getting back playing Milwaukee at home. Yeah, because they've had a tough season so far, so, not a ton to say good there. So we're going to jump over, because I like to jump around, as you know, and we'll go to softball. So tell us, what do we got in softball?
All right. So recently, back on Sunday, this past weekend actually, the softball team played the Coastal Carolina Invitational. The first game on Friday, they lost to North Dakota 8-1. On Saturday, they had 2 games. They had a back-to-back. They had University of Connecticut. They lost 11-3, and they lost to North Dakota 6-3. And then on Sunday, they lost to Connecticut 11-0, and Coastal Carolina 5-2. And then Wednesday, they'll play at Coastal Carolina, and I think that's just a normal regular season home game or away game, not home game.
It's all good. The important thing is we're going to the big dance. No offense to the bat sports, but we're going to the big dance. That's what it's all about. Reminiscent of the days with Coach Shields and, Andy Listerman, who just went into the Hall of Fame, Kevin Listerman, Mike Beach, all those stars from back in the day, Shannon Miner, LaRon Moore, and hopefully this generation is building so that way, we can look back on them fondly and remember those great times. Same with, of course, women's basketball with Coach Winstall and the success that this program's had. So, I mean, this, as I was saying, all the players deserve all the credit, for winning the tournament. But obviously, this is something that they've been building at Northern for 20 years or 30 years to get to this point. And it's just so amazing to watch and see the work of Jane Meyer, the steps that she started back then have now paid off, and now Northern is just, it's remarkable. So hopefully next season, I mean, it's going to be huge. We're going to have UC coming and playing their games. We're going to be playing Northern games up there as well, of course. I mean, that BB&T Arena should be the hottest ticket in town.
You know what? Northern Kentucky has been officially placed on the map of NCAA Division I basketball tonight, and it has shown.
Exactly. So, fans, for Norsin Around, as always, we greatly appreciate you listening, greatly appreciate you, following us, and we definitely look forward to bringing you the tournaments. Alex, any final thoughts?
It's a great time. It's a party in Highland Heights. Can't wait for Selection Sunday. Let's do this. Let's go Norse.
Sounds great. This time we'll hit the right button.